So I'm in Bangkok at the moment. I was supposed to come back via Dubai, but the flights were cancelled. And I've been here just over a week, and I wouldn't mind spending another few weeks in ASEAN, Southeast Asia and East Asia, and like Thailand and Bangkok is not what anyone thinks it is. The world has changed. I mean, especially with Iran, a middle country like Iran, having hit an F-35, the premier brains, the untouchable. So this is me. I'm just waiting for my breakfast. I mean, I don't know about you, but this is not what I was thinking when I heard of Bangkok. And that right out there is their BTS, their public transport service. So it's an elevated train that's elevated off of the road, the main road. And their subway is an elevated train. And they just run it like it's nothing. So, like, this is how far East Asia has come. This is how far Chinese technology has come. And there's a lot of cross interaction between China and Thailand in terms of fabrication and manufacturing. So, in terms of the future of the world, there's no doubt which direction it's headed. And as someone who spent like 20 years now in Silicon Valley and who's constantly been pointing this out, like every single time I'm exposed to something, even I'm blown away. But yeah, you've got two levels, so the actual station is above the ground. So right now I'm a floor up in the mall. I'll just walk across that skyway to the station, get on an escalator that's just always running. There's never any power outages. There's free flowing water, there's no issues. And just buy a super cheap ticket, hop on a train that runs very frequently. And I'm gonna make a switch now and go check out the Golden Temple. There are 7-Elevens here. I had a stomach ache and I was able to cure it just, using ChatGPT. And that's kind of all that the US has right now, right? It's ChatGPT, that's it. Just AI chatbots and vibe coding. But in terms of rare earth minerals, can't process that, And you tell me, which city in America can I have this pleasant an experience? Having a breakfast, a nice French toast, and a cappuccino that I had yesterday. It's Japanese style cappuccino. They actually ground it really well. It tastes like tiramisu. And then I just walk over to the public transport. Thank you. So if you want me to come over and give a talk, I will. Not really a formal talk, just an informal chat. I think nowadays there's no such thing as formal talks. Thank you. But I mean, as someone who did a PhD in quantum physics and quantum information theory like over 20 years ago, like this is how I communicate to people. In 2006, I created a protocol for quantum key distribution. And, as a naive graduate student, I was sort of pitching like, hey, the advantage of this is for noisy channels. So can we implement this in Earth satellite communications? I mean, this is the US. It's supposed to be the world's biggest superpower, the greatest power the world has ever known. And I was kind of laughed at, like, no, these sort of resources don't exist, or you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're, putting the cart ahead of the horse and all the usual American crap. And in 2016, China did it. So the Chinese did Earth satellite quantum key distribution in 2016, and since then they've been growing a QKD satellite network, so essentially working on satellite quantum internet. And I mean, I see things changing really fast. When I look at Bangkok right now, I see it as where Korea and Seoul was back in 1980s. So this someone that I know who came back, they were forced to come back after their PhD at Stanford. And initially they were kind of hesitant. They didn't, they were forced to. They didn't want to go back. This was like in the 2010s early. But after being here for over 10 years, they're kind of happy. I'm not in direct communication with them, but from what I've heard, they're happy and they have no intention of leaving. And that's similar to my girlfriend, whose dad went back to Korea back in the 80s and 90s, and he was one of the first professors when KAIST was given a mandate, and essentially they had a very comfortable life. They travel the world, they've seen the whole world. Now, Korea is a very different place than it used to be, and I see Thailand as being on that same trajectory. And I mean, like in the US, they talk about public transport like it's super expensive, it's super painful, it's super hard to do. Who's gonna, and over here, like, they run this, they built this like it was nothing. And that's kind of the Chinese way right now. This is the Asian way. It's just like, what's the big freaking deal? Like, this technology is not new. It's been out for ages. Just build it. And so anyway, I think the US is in a quagmire right now. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I'm returning. I don't know what I'm returning to. I'm bored out of my mind. Nothing really exciting is happening over there. Everyone's a scam artist. Everything that's happening in the quantum space is mostly just hype or all-out scams. And as far as the real research is concerned, just what's happening behind the scenes in the research labs. Just gauge for yourself with the F-35. That's the quality of American research. That's the quality of American manufacturing right now. You don't even have to go back to the Boeing crash and like their hatch job of a fix. So yeah, the US just seems to be getting from bad to worse. And so if I was an ASEAN country, like especially Singapore is very pro-ASEAN, and I can see why, is life is easy. Life doesn't have to be as hard as Americans make it for themselves, And even if the US succeeds at making a breakthrough with robotics and robotic manufacturing, it's going to be super expensive in America. And what the Chinese are producing are going to be at least an order of magnitude cheaper, if not 2 orders of magnitude cheaper. So think about that. Any robot that you get in the US, you're probably going to get something in China 100 times cheaper and twice as good. So the competition just isn't there. You can't outweigh China in terms of finding another cheaper place for manufacturing. In terms of strategic thinking, the US has no strategic thinking. And I mean, that's been my experience all the way back from the late 90s when I went and interviewed with investment banks, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley. Went and spoke to people at at these consulting firms like Deloitte and Touche and McKinsey. I went in as someone that was really naive, that was just like, hey, I'm a blank slate, this is what I know, this seems common sense to me, this seems logical. But the response that I got is kind of like the crap that you're hearing out of the Trump regime. It was very Pete Hegseth-y, it was very sort of like this besant idiot, where essentially they're just spouting garbage. And it's all about avoidance, it's all about just stealing. And in hindsight, it's kind of like that's how the financial system in the West has been run for the past few decades. It's all about theft. It's all about just not producing value for society, but stealing. And luckily for humanity, luckily for the world, and luckily for China, the Chinese kind of got wind of that and decided like, hey, let's build something. Let's actually create value and provide value. And that seems to have permeated throughout Asia. Maybe it's Asian culture, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly not South Asian culture, at least not obviously to me, but at least in East Asian culture and maybe Southeast Asian culture as well, there does seem to be this tendency towards creating value for society and spreading that wealth. But yeah, I mean, this is just mind-blowing for me. And I mean, I'm enjoying this. Just look at this breakfast. And that cappuccino is the best cappuccino I've had outside of Italy. So yeah.